the 4th of April, Saturday morning. The Essentials of Buddha Dhamma, the teachings and practice of Theravada Buddhism, compiled by Somdet Prat Bhutta Gosacharya, translated and edited by Bruce Evans. We left off in chapter 9 in the concentration factors of the Majjhima Patipata, the middle way, on page 676. And we were discussing the nutriments and the anti-nutriments. And according to the nutriments, basically factors that provide and promote growth and sustain practice of samadhi, the concentration factors of the middle way. Here we're going to pick up in the middle page of 676, and today we're going to read up to 682, and we'll stop at the convergence of the path factors, or where the path factors meet. So page 676 to 682. The nutriments and anti-nutriments of the 5 hindrances. Sensual desire has the nutriment of unwise attention in attractive objects, supha nimitta. Its anti-nutriment is wise attention to the unattractive objects, asupha nimitta. Enmity has the nutriment of unwise attention to offering objects, patigapa nimitta. Its anti-nutriments is wise attention to mental deliverance. Sloth and torpor have the nutriment of unwise attention to boredom, melancholy, sloth, and depression. Their anti-nutriments is wise attention to initiating, advancing, and striving. Restlessness and worry have the nutriments of unwise attention to the state or matter with which the mind is not peaceful. Their anti-nutriments is wise attention to something with which the mind is peaceful. Doubt has the nutriment of unwise attention to something that is a base for doubt. It is anti-nutriment is wise attention to what is skillful and unskillful, harmful and beneficial. Now the supporting factors or nutriments of the 7 enlightened factors, sambojana, sati, mindfulness, has its supporting factors of wise attention to the states that are a basis for mindfulness, sati. Investigation of the law of dharmas has its supporting factors of wise attention to skillful and unskillful, harmful and non-harmful conditions, and so on. Vidya, effort, has its supporting factors of wise attentions to initiating, advancing, and striving. Piti, rapture, has its supporting factors of wise attention to conditions that are a basis for rapture. Samatha, tranquility, has its supporting factors of wise attention to bodily and mentally tranquility. Samadhi, concentration, has its supporting factors of wise attentions to concentration images, samadhi nimitta, or on whatever does not cause the mind to wander or to be confused. Upekkha, equanimity, has its supporting factors of wise attention to the conditions that are the basis for upekkha, equanimity. Now, the anti-nutriments or the obstructing factors that abates and doesn't support the enlightenment factors, or lack of attention to the conditions that lead to the arising of each enlightenment factor. Conditions that are a basis for sati, mindfulness. There are objects of mindfulness, sati. In one of the commentaries, it said that to be the 37 requisites of enlightenment, bodhipakkhitiya dhamma, and the 9 transcendent conditions, lokutaraya dhamma. But broadly speaking, it is practicing according to the 4 foundation of mindfulness, satipatthana, in the path to purity, in the Visuddhi Magga, and the Sammoha Vitodhani. They give 4 conditions that help in the arising of mindfulness, sati. Sati, mindfulness and clear comprehension, avoidance of people with scattered mindfulness, association with people who are well controlled by mindfulness, inclining the mind to the mindfulness enlightenment factor. Conditions that aid the arising of investigation of the law of dharmas. 7 of these are given. Being inquisitive, making things clean and tidy, balancing the faculties, avoiding foolish people, associating with wise people, contemplating profound subjects, and inclining the mind to investigation of the eternal law of dhammas. Conditions that aid the arising of vidya, effort. 11 of these are given. Reflecting and seeing dangers such as the nether realms, apaya. Arousing the mind with the thought that if one does not bring forth effort, vidya, one will meet with such and such dangers. Seeing rewards, that if one strives, one will receive special results, both conscious and subconscious, mundane and transcendent. Reflecting that the path of practice is one followed by great beings, dakinaya bugala, one worthy of respect, such as Gautama Buddha and the great disciples. And if that one is indulgent, one will have no chance of succeeding. Respecting the alms food, resolving to make it bring great fruit to those who have given it. Examining the greatness of the Tathagata, the teacher, who will praise diligent effort, and resolving to honor the Tathagata by following the teaching, the Dhamma. Examining one's status, that one should make oneself worthy of the great bequest of the Buddha's dispensation teachings. Countering sleepiness by various methods, such as changing posture or bringing forth the perception of light. Avoiding indulgent people, associating with diligent people, reflecting on the right efforts, samma, apatana, and inclining the mind to effort. Conditions that aid the arising of piti, rapture. There are 11 of these are given. Recollecting the qualities of the Tathagata, Puttaong, Gautama Buddha. Recollecting the qualities of the righteous Dhamma, the eternal law. Recollecting the qualities of the order, the Sangha, the Bhikkhu Sangha, the community. Reflecting on one's own virtuous conduct. reflecting on one's past acts of generosity, dana, reflecting on the devatas and the devatama, conditions leading to the rebirth in the deva realm, samsara vata, reflecting on peace, shanti, 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 or nibbita, nibbana, nirvana, avoiding depressing people, associating with cheerful people, reflecting on inspiring sutras, and inclining the mind to rapture, piti. Conditions that aid the arising of tranquility or calm, samatha. There are 7 of these that are given. Partaking of fine foods, living in pleasant surroundings, abiding in comfortable posture, exerting moderate effort, avoiding tense and restless people, associating with relaxed, peaceful people, and inclining the mind to tranquility. Conditions that aid the arising of concentration, samadhi. There are 11 of these that are given. Making things clean and tidy. Being skilled at concentration signs or mental images, nimittas. Balancing the faculties, indriyas. Subduing the mind when it requires subduing. Lifting the mind when it requires lifting. Energizing the mind when it is cheerless, and sattha, faith, and a sense of urgency, samveda. Watching the mind impartially, upekkha, when it is proceeding properly, avoiding people whose minds are not concentrated, associating with people whose minds are concentrated, examining the release of absorption of jhana, inclining the mind to concentration, samadhi. Conditions that aid the arising of upekkha, equanimity. There are 5 of these examples that are given. Making the mind impartial to all beings, both bhikkhus and upaka, upasika, the householders, the laymen, laywomen. Making the mind impartial to all formations, including one's own bodily organs and material possessions. Avoiding people who are concerned with and worried about beings and formations. Associating with those who are impartial to beings and formations. And inclining the mind to upekkha, equanimity. The 7 enlightenment factors, sambhojana, affect each others are shown in the practice described by Gautama Buddha, which can be essentially summarized thus. A bhikkhu monk learns and hears the teaching from a learned being, a dakshinaya pugala, one worthy of respect, withdraws himself physically, withdraws himself mentally. The enlightenment factor then follows. A bhikkhu monk brings the teaching he has heard or learnt to mind for review, for investigation, for reason and sound analysis, for reflection and for cognition. This is the development of mindfulness, sati, in the enlightenment factor. With this recollection by mindfulness, sati, he then uses wisdom, panya, to sift through it, to ponder it, to question and examine it, to decipher and dissect. This is the development of the investigations of the eternal righteous Dharma of the enlightenment factor. Using wisdom, panya, to sift through, to ponder, to question, and to examine, he exerts vidya, effort. The more he sifts through, the more that he begins to understand and obtain the results, the more inspired he becomes. He is zealous, meaning chanta. He is determined, energetic, unrelenting. He then develops vidya, effort of the enlightenment factor. While putting forth vidya, effort, and applying himself with chanta, zealous, determined, and unrelenting, spiritual rapture, piti, arises, and he develops the rapture enlightenment factor. When the mind is in this state of bliss, rapture, both body and mind are relaxed. They are both calm. The body and the mental tranquility ensue, and he develops the tranquility enlightenment factor. When the body is relaxed and calm, the mind becomes concentrated, samadhi, and he develops the concentration enlightenment factor. When the mind is firmly established on its task and the mental object is sustained, grasped at a single point, it settles down and watches over things with detachment, upekkha. Practicing in this way, he develops upekkha, equanimity, enlightenment factor. Gautama Buddha taught that when the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, are developed and made much of, the seven enlightenment factors are perfected. When the seven enlightenment factors are developed and made much of, knowledge and deliverance, vimutti, are perfected. Nana dasana. The way to practice the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, for the perfection of the enlightenment factors, sambhojana, is as follows. Whenever the practitioner is practicing contemplation of the body, kaya nupassana, contemplation of feeling, vedana nupassana, contemplation of the mind, sita nupassana, or contemplation of the dhammas, dhamma nupassana. At that time, he or she is possessed of steadily unremitting mindfulness, sati. When steadily sati, mindfulness, the practitioner uses panya, wisdom, to contemplate, to investigate, to sift through the teachings according to the practice of the Dhamma Vichaya. From there, the practices proceed according to other enlightenment factors outlined above, leading ultimately to the knowledge and liberation, dana, dasana, and vimutti. Even when listening to the Dhamma teaching, if one establishes the mind, pays full attention, and listens well, and at that time the five hindrances are absent, and the seven enlightenment factors can develop to perfection. The 7 enlightenment factors can be developed or practiced in conjunction with other practices in the mindfulness of breathing, meditation, and the boundless abidings for the 4 divine abidings, the Brahma Viharas. Various reflections, such as the reflections on impermanence, anicca, the reflections on unattractiveness, and the reflection of dispassions, of the reflection on cessation, will cause those practices to bring great results and great assurance and safety, leading to the sense of urgency in the development of skillful qualities and to the present abidings. The enlightenment factors are recommended for practice with the changing of the mind, can be used to support the mind that is still new to concentration, samadhi, to make samadhi stronger, as is shown in the following, Buddha Vashana. Bhikkhu monks, when the mind is depressed, that is not the time to, when the mind is depressed, it is not the time to develop tranquility or enlightenment factor. The concentration element factor, the equanimity factor, why is this not the time? Because the depressed mind is not easily uplifted by these conditions. It is like a man who wishes to stroke a small fire and makes it blaze. He puts green grass, fresh manure, fresh wood onto the fire and splashes it with water. And smothers it with dust. Will that man be able to stroke a small fire and make it ablaze? The Bhikkhu monks answers, no, Venerable Sir, not at all. It is the same when the mind is depressed. When the mind is depressed, that is the time to develop the investigation of the Dhamma enlightenment factor, the effort enlightenment factor, the rapture enlightenment. Why is this not the time to do this? Because the depressed mind is easily uplifted by such conditions. It is like a man who wishes to start a fire and make it blaze. He puts on dry grass, dry manure, dead wood, and fans it, and does not smother it with dust. Will it be able to stroke or start the small fire and make it ablaze? The Bhikkhu monks answered, yes, Venerable Sir, it will. It is the same when the mind is depressed. Bhikkhu monks, when the mind is scattered, that is not the time to develop the investigation of Dhammas and enlightenment factor, the effort enlightenment factor, the rapture enlightenment factor. Why is that? Because the scattered mind is not easily calmed by those conditions. It's like a man who wishes to douse a large fire. He puts onto it dry grass, dry manure, dead wood, and fans it and does not smother it with dust. Would that man be able to douse the fire? The Bhikkhu monks answer, no, it will not, Venerable Sir. It is the same when the mind is scattered. When the mind is scattered, that is the time to develop tranquility enlightenment factor, the concentration enlightenment factor, the quality, the equanimity enlightenment factor. Why is this? Because the scattered mind is easily calmed by those conditions. It is like a man who wishes to douse a fire. He puts on green grass, fresh manure, fresh wood, sprinkles it with water, smothers it with dust. Will that man be able to douse that fire? The Bhikkhu monks answer, yes, it will, Venerable Sir. It is the same with the mind. It's scattered. As for mindfulness, I say this is the beneficial in all situations. In the Tipitaka, the Pali Canon, the 7 enlightenment factors are described as the effort to cultivate skillful qualities, pavana patana, which is said to be the supreme effort. As the power of cultivation, as the method for eliminating the asavas, the outflows through cultivation, and eliminating all the negative qualities, as the action, karma, that is either black nor white, which leads to the cessation of the action of karma, as the conditions leading only to the progress, never to get regress. And along with the other requisites of enlightenment, as the way to the unconditioned nibbana, nirvana. Now that's the end of today. We left off, or we will be leaving off at 682, and we'll pick up with the convergence of the path factors on the next one. The essentials of Buddha Dhamma, the teachings and practice of Theravada Buddhism, compiled by Somdet Prat Bhutta Gosacharya, English name P.A. Payutto, translated and edited by Bruce Evans.